I often beat myself up because I think I'm lazy and I just can't get my together enough to get anything done. But then I really started thinking about it and I'm like, am I actually lazy or am I actually depressed or maybe even something else? If you've struggled with this same thing before, I feel your pain. So let's talk about how we can figure out what this is coming from and some steps we can take to get back on track. So let me start off with an example of what I'm talking about here. And I will give you my personal example that I have really been struggling with lately. So I have this goal to lose weight, to get into a healthier weight range for myself and my body type, okay? There's some days where I go throughout the day and then come the evening time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so motivated to do this. Oh my gosh, I've lost 80 pounds before. That was several years ago now, but I'm like, I've done this before. I can do it again. We've got a walking treadmill now. I have a standing desk, so I don't even have to leave my apartment to get exercise in. I can literally do it while I'm playing a video game or doing my work. This is going to be easy. We got this. This is going to be so good. Okay. So I have all this motivation and all this like really positive self-talk going on. Okay. But then the next morning rolls around, the alarm goes off and I hit snooze and I go throughout my day and I don't use my standing desk. I don't use my walking treadmill. I don't take breaks from work or whatever I'm doing, even just a 10-minute break to walk around the parking lot of my apartment building. So then that evening comes around and now I'm beating myself up in my head. Like, you're so lazy. You're never going to get your shit together. You're always going to be fat. You're never going to lose this weight. Why are you even trying? Because we've done this 20 million times and it never ever works. And it just goes on and on, like my brain just insulting me for a really long time. And then usually I end up in tears or just really, really down and I go to bed and I kind of just don't even think about losing weight or being healthy until 2 or 3 weeks goes by and I have that motivation again. And then we just do the cycle all over again. The last occurrence of this actually just happened over the weekend a few days ago, but I really sat down with this and I started thinking, am I actually lazy or am I depressed or is there something else going on here because of all this negative self-talk? And I want to figure this out. I want to nip this in the bud. So what do we do? Let's talk about this. So let's start with laziness. What exactly is laziness? If you look up the definition, laziness means we are unwilling to do any work or any activities. The key word there being unwilling. So if you're struggling with something similar like this, take a moment to really think about that. Are you unwilling to do whatever goal you're trying to get towards and you just can't get there? You can't do the thing. Is it actually laziness because you're unwilling to do it? Or are you unable to do that thing? Or are you unable to do that thing? There is a huge difference between unwillingness and inability. And there's lots of different things that can contribute to an inability to do something. It could be psychological stuff. It could be physical illness. It could be financial reasons, depending on what it is. So there's lots of inability. There's lots of things that can contribute to inability. So let's dig into the unwillingness side a little bit more. So maybe you figured out that it's not that you're unable to do the thing, but maybe you really are unwilling to do the thing. So if your perceived laziness is coming from unwillingness, usually the unwillingness is a defense mechanism for something else. The unwillingness is our brain's way of keeping us away from discomfort and some sort of uncertainty with something. So what looks like being lazy has a lot of layers to it. Usually it's not just laziness, it is some sort of unwillingness because our brain is trying to protect us from something deeper in ourselves that maybe we don't quite recognize, but it's trying to keep us comfortable and safe. So how do we figure out this deeper thing that might be going on behind all of this? A really great way to figure this out is journaling. And I know that is so cliche, like all the therapists recommend journaling, but there's a really good reason why we recommend this. It is because when we journal, it's a really great way to sort out our problems. So we get really in our heads and kind of overthink things. If we put them down on paper, it gets them out externally and we're sort of able to problem solve that way in a way that we're not able to do it in our minds. So if you're having some sort of inner turmoil or you just can't quite figure something out, journaling is a really fantastic place to start. So one way that you could start this is you could literally write down your problem in your journal. You could literally write down, am I being lazy, or is there something else to this? And usually what's going to happen is your brain is going to sort of immediately give you answers that you're going to write down. And those answers usually don't come to us because we're not asking ourselves that actual question in our mind. It takes like the external, the writing it down, the getting it out externally. That's us asking the question, and your brain's going to serve up the answer really, really quick. Our brains are really good at serving up these inner thoughts through journaling, so we can just write them down. Journaling also gives us an opportunity to reflect back on what we wrote when we're in a different state of mind, so we can really contemplate, later when we're not feeling so bad, maybe we can really, really think about what we wrote down and ask even more questions to really get down to the root of some of these defense mechanisms. So going back to my exercise dilemma, I decided to take my own advice and I started journaling about this. I started describing the problem that I'm having that I told you earlier, and that pattern that I've gotten myself in over many, many years, really. And I asked myself, well, are you lazy? Like, I literally wrote that down. Are you lazy? And then literally within a few seconds, I'm answering myself, no, I really don't think I'm lazy. I really do want to lose this weight for a multitude of reasons. I really want to achieve this goal. So then it starts me down this questioning path of, okay, well, if you're not lazy, what's going on here? What are you trying to avoid? And I'd honestly never considered that before. What am I trying to avoid by staying in this pattern of really a sedentary lifestyle? What am I trying to avoid by doing that? And again, within a few seconds, my brain spoke up and it's saying, well, do you really want to commit to exercising for the rest of your life? Because if you start exercising, you're going to have to increase that intensity later on, and you're going to have to exercise more to lose weight. And are you sure you want to commit to that? Like, you've never really been an active person, and that's true. I've never really leaned towards exercise. So like, why do you want to do this now after you haven't done it for this many years? Sitting down all day, it's really comfortable, and like, you don't leave your apartment that much. You don't really need to look that great because you don't really do anything. Are you really sure that you want to commit to this? So through that journaling and asking myself that tough question, I was able to figure out and realize, no, I'm not lazy. I'm just thinking way too far in the future about things that might not even happen. I don't know that I'm going to have to bump up my exercise intensity. I don't know if I'm always going to hate exercise. I have no proof that they're going to happen. So here I'm just overthinking and getting overly anxious about just bullshit things, really. So I was able to recognize this, and I realized that my brain was trying to protect me from feeling the discomfort of exercise, of feeling the discomfort from going outside of my apartment, because I do get anxious going out sometimes. And it was also trying to protect me from feeling overwhelmed by things. I already feel like I have a lot on my plate sometimes. Adding exercise to that stresses me out a little bit. So my brain was trying to protect me from potentially burning out like I've done before. I just couldn't piece that together without actually asking and considering, are you lazy? So I did this exercise just a few days ago, like 2 or 3 days ago. And I will tell you that I have felt really relieved in just a few short days. And I've already found myself being able to challenge those negative thoughts as they come in. So for instance, today, I went to the office for work today, which I usually don't do. And I'm usually really tired when I get home, but it was a really, really pretty day and I'd been feeling lazy, like I said. So I thought, I'm going to take a walk when I get home. And instantly my brain started serving up, well, you had a long day. Are you sure? Because like, you're already kind of tired from going to the office. Like, let's just not today. So I had those thoughts, but I was able to recognize them and challenge it and say, you know what? It's 30 minutes. It's a really nice day outside. Like, you can spare 30 minutes to walk around your apartment complex a few times. So I did. And I felt so good and invigorated for doing the thing, for recognizing the thoughts, one, challenging them, and then doing the thing, that I felt so good that I came home and I decided to record this YouTube video, hence why I don't look as put together as I usually try to do. So if you are beating yourself up thinking that you are lazy, even though you really want to do things, I strongly encourage you to start journaling and asking yourself that literal question, am I lazy? Because that's going to start getting some of this internal stuff out out so you can process it better. And by doing this, you might find that your laziness is actually because of depression or clinical anxiety or ADHD or something else. Figuring out our thoughts and learning to challenge them is really helpful for treating a lot of those conditions. But if you're struggling with it or you're having very significant symptoms, you may also want to consider seeing a mental health professional to get more specialized skills and get that proper medical treatment. Instead of judging yourself, learn to question those thoughts that your brain is serving to you to keep you comfortable. Ask yourself what's really going on here. Get it down on paper, and you'll start to figure out the why behind the lazy and learn to start chipping away at that.